everyone! We will continue with more videos about Tierra y Libertad from Malinche games. In the previous video, we told you how to set up the game. Here's how to play the co-op and solo modes. Co-op. In this mode, the players play against the game system. Each round consists of 3 phases. Phase 1. Place representatives and complete actions. In turn order, each player places their representatives on the board or on the cards. The location where the representative may be placed are marked by the letters A through I. Only one representative may be placed on the cards. Immediately after placing a representative, the action is carried out, except for agreements. At the end of the action, it becomes the next player's turn. This is repeated until there are no representatives left for any player. The locations where you can place representatives are Map. The player may place a representative in the region where he already has a representative or in an adjacent region. There can only be 2 representatives in a single region. When placing a representative, the player will take the resources that appear in the region and apply the active event. Upon placing a representative where there is already another player's representative, these 2 things happen. Activate agreements. Players may exchange resources or cards in Phase 2. Share cemetery powers. The player may use the powers of their faction or other players' powers using their graves. Revolutionary cards. The player takes the revolutionary card next to their faction board and places a new card. Turn order. The player moves their turn marker to the position occupied by the representative. If the representative is moved to the first position, that player will be the player who starts in the next round. Blockades. When placing a representative here, the player takes a dynamite token and places it on a train track in the region of one of their representatives on the map. Objective cards. The player takes the objective card and automatically reveals the reaction card beneath it. The reaction can penalize in 3 different ways. Paying resources. If the player does not have these resources, they have to pay what they can and the debt will pass on to the next player until a player can pay exactly the resources they are asking for. When it is paid, it is replaced by a new card face down, and the new objective card is also placed. Canceling cards. If the card belongs to a faction, it is flipped over until the next round. Removing cards. The card is completely removed from the game. If it belongs to a faction, the player who loses the card receives a grave. Reaction cards. If placed on a card that cancels a card, that card becomes active again. Resources. Upon placing it on one of the resources or a tomb, the player gets 1. In addition, the player may remove a representative from a region or move a faction piece. Spy. Flip the counter-revolutionary card to find out where this character will attack. Agreements. The player can exchange resources or cards with another player here. After all players have placed all of their representatives, the H, I, J, and K actions will be resolved. Phase 2. Attacks and victory points. The first counter-revolutionaries will attack 2 regions in each round. All counter-revolutionary cards are flipped at this point. First, whoever has the strongest attack will attack. The strength of the attack is measured with the die modifier and the number of regions that they will attack. They first attack the representatives in the region of origin, and then a secondary region wherever the card indicates. Place the miniature figure of Diaz in the region where the battle takes place. If a player decides to defend the attacked region, they place their faction's miniature figure, and if they want, a revolutionary card as well. This card will add a bonus to the die roll. A revolutionary can only defend once per round, so a battle token is placed on them when they are played. The strength of the counter-revolutionaries is the die roll plus the card modifier. The strength of the revolutionaries is the result of the die roll plus the revolutionary card modifier if there is one, the black dots on the faction token in the region, and the faction powers, if any, are activated. If the revolutionaries win, nothing happens. If the counter-revolutionaries win, they eliminate all representatives, faction tokens, and cards involved in the battle. Players receive 1 grave for each representative, token, or card eliminated. The cards of the lost revolutionaries are returned to the box. The next attack will be carried out according to the instructions given in the manual. After that, the counter-revolutionaries will repair a blockade. Agreements. If a player placed 1 here, they choose another player to exchange resources or cards with. If their powers allow it, they can exchange resources for graves. Victory points. Each faction that has objective cards gains points in turn. Order as follows. Activating objectives. To do so, Change the resources indicated on the card for the points that appear on it. This can be done as many times as the green arrow indicates. Coincidences. If the round and number of objectives match any scroll, they receive an extra point for each activation. In addition, an objective in round 1 gives a single point in round 2, 2 in round 3, and 4 in round 4. Presence. Some objectives give an additional point for being in a specific region. When an objective has been scored, it is returned to the box. Phase 3. Maintenance. If all the players combine to reach 10 points by the end of round 1, 30 in round 2, or 60 in round 3, the game continues. If not, the counter-revolutionaries win. The representatives that are not in map regions return to the player's board. Each player receives new representatives according to the number of players. If there are not enough, the representatives return from the map until they are complete. Change the event card. Replace all cards in the game for the ones that correspond. In round 3, you will have to use the cards from the decks. For rounds 3 and 4, the first player's marker becomes last. At the end of the round, each faction can have a maximum of 5 revolutionaries, 5 resources, 5 graves, and 5 objectives. The game ends at the end of the 4th round. The players win if they get 100 points combined. If not, the counter-revolutionaries win. Solo mode. The way you want to play is very similar to the co-op mode with a few slight variations. At the beginning of the round, the player always fills their board up to 6 representatives. No representatives may be placed on reaction cards. The agreements box is not used in this mode. The game always ends after 4 rounds. The player wins if they have at least 50 points by the end of the 4th round. And here ends the video of co-op mode and solo mode. Remember that the setup of the game is another video. In the next video, we will explain the counter-revolutionaries versus all variation.